clicked on this video, I'm assuming you either want to know how to make the perfect character to fit into your OC universe, or you just like my videos in general. Either way, hey, it's Hirsch, and today I'm going to be exposing the secrets of how to create realistic and level original characters. Step 1 is figuring out the path you want to take, so timestamps will be in the description so you can skip to the part that's most helpful for you. Starting off, if you have no clue where to start, the truth is that you can't have a perfect original character. The best characters are the realistic ones in my opinion. The ones who have weaknesses and strengths, the ones who are flawed but find ways to overcome their trials. This is why the first thing you need to do is to decide a setting, or the world. Where does your story take place? Some questions to consider are, is it a magical world? Is it like real life? Is it the future or the past? All of these can help you when designing your character's physical appearance, so I'd recommend starting here if you have no clue what to do, and I'll talk more about this later. So this is my original character, Ace. I'm going to be using him as an example for this video since he's one of the most fleshed out characters of mine, and he's my favorite, but don't tell the others. Ace belongs to my magical OC universe, Shard, where people have the power to use light or shadow magic. An example of using the setting to design a character in this case is through the powers. All my characters have a shard crystal on the back of their neck that's kind of like their lifeline, and it indicates what power they can wield. So now that you have the setting, let's move on to the role. Usually people design characters to fit a specific role in their story. Are they the main character, the antagonist, the comedic relief side character that inevitably gets killed, or are they just existing for fun? You don't have to have a role or a story for them, but I think it makes it easier to come up with traits for the character later on, so I'd recommend coming up with like a quick draft for a backstory if you want to. In my case, Ace is the main character, but also he has a complicated past that produces struggles for him throughout the story. When I first designed him, I wanted him to kind of be a representation of what my character Maya could have ended up being like, so they'd kind of parallel each other in a way, if that makes sense. So I knew I wanted him to be important, but also not the main character, because his actions aren't completely honest at the beginning of the story, and it isn't really told in his perspective until later on, so kind of like a shady side character in a way. So because I wanted him to pair well with my character Maya, who has darker hair, I gave him lighter hair and darker skin to kind of oppose her whole design, again with like the contrast parallel thing. You can also think about character relationships. Do you want your character to be close with the other characters, and how does this affect their personality and lifestyle? For if you already have a story and if you're trying to fit a character into it. If not, then just YOLO, I guess. Obviously, it doesn't have to be this deep, but I also have characters that just exist for the sake of existing because I was bored one day, and that's perfectly fine too. So now we have the setting and the role, and now all that's left is to start on the actual character. There are two routes that you can go through in my opinion, and you can either start with the design or start with the personality. I'll explain both routes because why not, but if you don't know where to start, you can use the setting and the character role to try and envision something, literally anything for this character, and go from there. So the first way that you can go about this is if you already have like a kind of an idea for a design and you want to make a personality, my biggest tip is to base it off of someone you know IRL, because like I said before, people love it when characters are relatable with their feelings, and nothing makes someone more relatable than, well, if they're acting human, I guess. Don't be creepy about it obviously and copy all that person's habits, because that's taking it a tad bit too far, but maybe take some traits about them that you think would fit this character, and even better, mix and match it with other people to make it more interesting. Going back to what I was saying earlier, think about the relationship you want this OC to have with others. Are they super reserved and cool, or are they empathetic and observing? I already knew Ace's backstory from the get-go, which I won't reveal, but let's just say it's traumatic to say the least. So I thought about how it would affect him present day, and there were two options. A, I could make him super cheerful and like a comedic relief who hides his true sad feelings on the inside and bottles everything up and pretends he's okay. Or B, I could have him be stone cold and mean to everyone, but that's also to hide his true loving feelings on the inside, I guess. I went with B because I figured it would be more interesting if at the beginning readers thought he's a jerk and just hate him, but throughout the story we uncover his past and learn why he is the way he is, so they'd like grow to love him in a way, but that's just my opinion. A sunshine character going slowly insane is also fun to write, but I already have someone for that role in my story, so I figured why not just make Ace the depressing one. I recommend looking at popular character archetypes and researching them to expand beyond your comfort zone, but also try and get creative with it, and please don't make them perfect, or that's going to prevent them from having any character development throughout the story whatsoever. Also, tip number something, go into the MBTI personality test and pretend you're your character and take the test as them. Then when you get your results, scroll through and see if you can use any of that info that they come up with at the end. It's actually really helpful in coming up with a unique character for their like flaws and strengths, and it actually tells you a lot more about them than you might have like originally thought about in a way. Another thing is, this is if you already have the design in mind, kind of think about why certain design elements are the way they are. For example, is your character like only wearing like the certain type of clothing for like whatever reason? Does that relate to their personality? And kind of think about things like that, because in a way, design and personality are intertwined with each other and they usually relate to each other in some way, shape, or form. And now we're moving on to route number 2 for if you have an idea for personality and you want to make a design, or you just want to start with the design. Don't fret, usually coming up with designs is way easier than personalities, for me at least. There are only so many ways that you can make a character sad or happy, and all those archetypes seem to have already been filled up in a way, so I feel like whenever I make personalities, it's kind of based off of a character that I've already like read or watched. But design choices are practically infinite, so use that to your advantage and don't just copy off of your favorite anime character. My personal tip is to go onto Pinterest and search for some inspiration, especially in terms of clothing if you have no idea where to start. But here are some things to keep in mind when you are looking at designs in general. First, you want to think about color schemes. Characters look so aesthetically pleasing when you're basing them off of a set of colors, and the best part is that there's no right or wrong way to do this. If you're really lost, Google color palette generator and click until you're happy with your results. Or another way to find a color scheme is using the color wheel. Complementary colors, colors that are opposite on the color wheel, tend to make each other pop out more in contrast, for example, orange and blue or red and green. You could also go monochromatic to really highlight them from your other characters. For example, the Celestials in my story are kind of like god characters in a way, so they're definitely more important than the other ones, and they're all monochromatic to show their importance and how their body reflects the elements that they channel. Also, I think colors are a really good way to represent that character's inner feelings. For example, in a lot of TV shows, especially now, you can see people like really going in and analyzing what like colors that certain characters wear, because for example, blue might indicate a sadder tone, red could kind of indicate that they're more like harsh or like angry in a way, or maybe more confident. Like they can indicate a lot of things, so definitely play around with it, and I think colors are just a super fun way to like really personalize your character. Next up is clothing. If your character is living in the modern world, giving them a bulky set of armor may not be the most practical unless vital for their survival in some way or just for a meme. So remember when I said coming up with a setting and world would help in this stage? Well, you can. You can use your setting to figure out what would look actually best on your character. If your world's a dystopian style, then yeah, giving your character a bulletproof cape would be pretty epic and practical. If it's a magical world, think about all the gadgets and technological changes that would have happened as a cause of the magic. And if it's in the past, then maybe look up some things that people wore in the Victorian era or something. I don't know, just make it make sense and you're good to go. Clothing styles definitely indicate like a lot about the character's personality, I think. For example, if someone dresses up a lot, that could say that they have a lot of time or they care about the way that they appear to others, and it could also indicate something about their personality. Last thing I want you guys to think about is why. One of the most important part of a character's design is to not unnecessarily add things unless it holds value to the story or character and it serves a purpose. The purpose can also just be to look cool, don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be super serious, but I think asking why before you add a significant element on the character's design can really help. For example, my character Ace only wears turtlenecks and always wears thermals underneath his clothing, even during hotter seasons. I won't go too much into detail because spoilers, you know, if I ever actually make this a webcomic or a story, but for nearly a decade of his life, he was living in a place with really harsh weather conditions that didn't allow him access to a heat source unless he was quite literally on the verge of hypothermia. So now a part of him kind of still fears that environment in a way, so he endures sweating buckets during summer with turtlenecks on for a peace of mind. And also, he may or may not be doing it to cover a certain magical part of his body. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it for this character design guide. I included as many tips as I could that helped me on my own journey to design original characters, so I hope this video helps you too. As always, thank you guys so much for watching till the end. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please email me your original characters for my next Drawing Your Overseas videos because that will be coming out soon. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!